I'm Pat Barkman, and today I'll talk about perennial beds. There's a perennial bed along here, along the driveway, that has been established 23 years ago. And you see in it a buddleia bush, a butterfly bush. Actually, there's two. There's a white one and a purple one that came from other parts of the garden and just established themselves in here. And then we have along here some Queen Anne's lace, some sundrops. And I want to show you a trick that I used, and that is when it was first established, I established some socks in here to prevent the erosion coming down from the driveway. The rain comes down here in torrents, in that I'm at the bottom of 3 hills on either side of the top of the driveway. So lots and lots of rain comes down, and I did establish a rain garden at the end of the driveway. But in order to prevent the erosion of the good soil that I put down, I filled those socks with sand or with soil so that they could hold the soil in place and it wouldn't keep running down the drive. Now, other things that I've got in here are the iris, the Canterbury bells, and some Shirley poppies or Irish poppies that grow every year. They're an annual, but they're in with the perennial bed. And then the yellow flowers, which are lovely, have established themselves in here. And then the lady's mantle, some lilies, some more Canterbury bells, some more digitalis, and this one is a juniper. But the juniper is a result of my taking a photo of this problem area before it was established. I took the photo to the market garden, a gardener that was not one who used the neonicotinoids. And that's very important in that if we use the neonics, we don't have our pollinators, so not to use them. And lots of market gardeners do use them. If you can find a family-run operation that are very conscientious about pollinators and other things that are natural to the health of the garden, it's far better. And she recommended, when I took my photo when I was establishing this bed, the first thing I should do was plant a lot of daffodils, which I did do. And so they come up first in the spring, along with some other bulbs, and then the juniper mixed in. So it's very easy to maintain this. I do hardly anything. In the spring I weed out what I can, but now it's really work-free. So let's go into the garden and discuss a few more of the perennial beds that are in there. I want to discuss the plants that are inside the garden that the deer would eat if they were left to come inside the garden. But I have a deer fence surrounding this area. And the plants that can grow outside the garden, like the digitalis or the sundrops or the lady's mantle, which I have perennial beds along the road and along the outside of the fence, so that if the deer come along, I don't feel that they've devastated the garden. So inside is the Amsomia and the Semisifuca, a pear tree which is growing in an espalier, which means that the branches are being trained out. It was just newly planted this year, but it's doing very well with its little pears. And you need 2 kinds of pear trees, unless you get a graft, and I think that this is probably where the graft is, maybe down there, so that if one variety is grafted onto another variety, then you all have the 2 varieties in the same tree. Over here is the Semisifuca mixed in with the sundrops or evening primrose, and they come back every year. The poppies have been gorgeous. They were bright reddish orange, and they can grow anywhere they want. I'm very pleased with them. They look like a fuzzy dandelion where they first come in, and now at this stage I can just pull them out. But they're in my perennial bed as a early spring bloom. And down here the irises have gone by, and the digitalis is almost by. This was a lupin, which usually grows in tall, mountainous, cold areas, but every once in a while you can get that nice leaf to go, and it's a biennial, but it's in with the perennial bed. Here's the feverfew, of course, and now I need to deadhead these peonies because they're past their bloom and they look a little untidy, but the petals on the ground look, of course, very lovely. This is another lovely plant that will bloom in the fall, and I should pinch it back. It's a chrysanthemum that's very easy to grow. It has a pink blossom and it's a yellow center. That's very lovely. So you're supposed to pinch it back 4 times before July 4th, and then it will stay as a low brushy bush. Almost everything likes to be pinched back except the balloon flower. We don't pinch that back. There's more of those black-eyed Susans that I don't want in there, so I'll pull them out. And the phlox, these, will be lovely. They'll bloom in July and August, and I'm pinching some of them back as well because they look as if the leaves are crinkled. And besides, if I pinch them back, then they'll bloom at different times and last longer. It's easiest to start a garden last year. If you get a chance to get big bales of hay or compost to put down on your soil to make it soft, that happens. A bale of hay will allow the soil underneath to get earthworms and all of the other organisms that make the soil soft. So if you are starting a perennial garden or any garden, cover it with debris. You can dig a little hole and start, each time you have debris, put some of the earth that was once in the hole on top of it and mix it in so that your soil will be nice and soft, because it's far better to not till. The new way of gardening is no-till. You'll hear that if you look at other videos, because there's all sorts of microorganisms working together in the soil, and when you dig them up with a rototiller, you are destroying all of that life that is so necessary for your plants to grow. And another thing, try not to use artificial fertilizers in your growth, when you're in your land, because they too upset those microorganisms. During World War II, they had a lot of chemicals left over. They decided what they should do with them is change them into a fertilizer for people to operate their land with. And that's not been good. In your fertilizer, you usually have, and it goes in alphabetical order. So when you look on a package of fertilizer, it gives you 3 numbers, and those are the numbers of the phosphorus, the pH, it starts with pH, phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. And if you have too much nitrogen, you'll get lots of leaves. But you need all 3 for the health of the plant. And you can do this by using manure from a gardener, from a farmer, or you can just keep adding your own compost, and that will give you your mixture that you need for your soil. This is an epimedium, which has a lovely leaf, has a delicate flower that blooms early in the spring, but then it's a nice plant that stays low and provides a nice border. This is Centara, which provides blue. I like blue in my garden. And I have a theory that people plant the colors that they look best in. So if you're an autumn person and you've had your color chart done and you are you look good in those hot reds and oranges and golds, then you'll probably plant those in your garden. I look better in the blues and pinks, and well, I can wear the other colors too, but those are the colors that I've chosen. And if you go to the market gardens every week, then you'll find that you can find things that color coordinate so that you can have those continuous blooms in the year. I'm Pat Barkman. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click like. Bye bye. See you next time.